I got to catch up with screenwriter Jeff Barker, and it was a blast. My name is Marco, just a guy in Austin, Texas who really likes movies. And so, like I said, I got to catch up with screenwriter Jeff Barker, and he even served on the team for Obsession. So, I am so excited that we got to talk all things screenwriting, but also some things Obsession. So, I really hope you all enjoy this interview. And yeah, let's take it away. All right, everyone. We are back and we have a very special interview today. We are interviewing the one and only Jeff Barker. I'm going to let him do a little bit of an intro to himself because he has probably one of the most interesting ways to screenwriting across a career. So, Jeff, I'm just going to pass it over to you and kind of start with that question. Tell us like how you got here to screenwriting.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Well, it's been a journey. I've been a writer for 25 years, writing short stories and prose, novel manuscripts, published in a lot of like literary journals and such. And so I've always been a writer and really came to screenwriting about 3 years ago through Curry. Because when I was coming up, I dreamed about being a screenwriter, but it wasn't an option unless you lived in LA. And that just didn't work for our family. So that was never on the table. But times have changed, and Curry was getting the idea of Obsession, starting on his script, and he asked me about some things. And so I just went all the way in, getting obsessed about screenwriting. And that's sort of what I do when I get interested in something. And so does Curry. And it has its advantages and disadvantages. But I just like read as many scripts as I could, like just immersed myself in it. And really, it was a matter of taking the voice that I'd already established over all those years of writing and then moving it into the mechanics and the style of screenwriting, which really fits my style anyway, because I write cinematically. I try to avoid interiority, even from a prose standpoint, as much as possible. And then, of course, the screenwriting, I try to not do it at all. So it really worked for me. And it was a beautiful thing to be able to help with Obsession. And then I started writing my own screenplays. And when you live where I live in Alabama, all you can do is really like put them up on screenwriting contests, put them on the blacklist, and I did really well. I mean, I started winning some contests and getting eights on the blacklist, and that opened some doors for me to sort of put my foot in the door a little bit with the industry, and it's been unreal. Like I can't believe it. And now with Obsession, it's like the gas, the foot's fully on the gas pedal. It's really cranking now.
Most definitely. And I love, like, you kind of touched on a lot of things that we're going to be talking about. And for those of you that don't know, Jeff Barker, or didn't put the pieces together, Jeff Barker, what's it called? His son is Curry Barker, the director, writer. All good, all good. No, it works out. And we'll be talking a little bit about Obsession here in a little bit. But kind of going back to you, and you kind of talked about how you got into it. Do you remember the first screenplay or film that made you say, I really want to dig in on this?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was The Sixth Sense. I felt like that M. Night's construction of that story. I mean, he really put us in a position as a viewer, and then later as a reader of the screenplay that where it just pulled the rug on us, and it wasn't cheap. It wasn't like it was earned, and that's when I was like, wow, there's really an art to constructing a story where you're taking people on a journey and putting a mirror up in front of them, forcing them to look at the parts about themselves that they may not want to look at, have them going into a direction to solve those issues, and then take a turn and it be earned, and it be fulfilling and satisfying. That's what The Sixth Sense did, and really made me fall in love with storytelling from a cinematic perspective. Whereas I was always a movie lover, but that's the movie I remember really had me think about story and story structure.
That's awesome, and I yeah, love when you said it. That movie, I still go back to the first time I watched it, and it'll pop up on like a TikTok live where someone asks, like, say, "What is the movie that still scares you to this day?" And that one, it definitely like Under the Bed, and forgetting that that's Misha Barton too. Like that always like I'm like I forget she's in this movie. So yeah, it's such a good one. That's such a good pull, right?
Well, and that was a big studio movie, but at the same time, it was a cultural moment, and it's sort of like what we're living in now with Obsession. It's feels like a cultural moment. People are talking about it. If I go anywhere with an Obsession shirt on or something, people are stopping me, asking me like, "Why do you have that shirt on? I love that movie." Like, and I'm happy to tell them
Oh yeah.
why I have it on.
Oh, most definitely. When we had our party for it, our private party for it, we had like posters and stuff giving away, and I was in like shirt, hat. Or like people were going in to see it in a different screen, and people were like, "Where did you all get that?" And we were like, "We brought it. Sorry, this is for ours. No, our bad." Yeah, exactly. You gotta pull.
with the merch and everything. And,
It's so great.
people are like upset because they've run out, but they've run out because it's so popular. And I can assure you they're trying to get new stuff because people are just waiting.
Oh, most definitely. Well, a lot of writers they do talk about finding their voice. When did you feel like you finally found yours when it came to screenwriting?
Well, screenwriting, I feel like it was right away because, like I said, I really feel like it was pretty, over 25 years of writing almost daily. I mean, I wasn't a hobby. I was really a serious writer. After about three bad novel manuscripts, I think I finally found my voice to the place to where I could write and not have to think about it, not try to polish a sentence or make it sound fancy or make it beautiful in any sort of way. Just like what comes out is what it is. And it was authentic to me and unique to me. And so that's been years. And so it was easy to translate that to screenwriting just because, again, I write that way anyway. Um, but yeah, it takes people, there's no shortcut. It happens for some people faster than others, but you still have to put your butt in the seat, put the hours in, put the weeks in, put the months in, put the years in to find a voice. And what happens in the beginning is you'll have moments of where you really it flows out of you and you feel like, oh, I said that in a way that's unique to me, that no one else could say it that way. But then it's just glimpses. It doesn't like, it's not like an epiphany that it just all comes at once. But over time it shows up more and more until you don't really have to think about it. And putting a story together is hard work. So if you're doing that and you're trying to like make the sentences beautiful and like have a style, and it's too much.
Yeah, and like to your point there, like you do a great job on the screenplay lab of analyzing screen play so deeply. Like we were talking about this with one of the film talkers that I know very well. His name's Daniel, and for his 1 year, he told us like, what is a movie that got you into movies? And mine was The Prestige. Because that's where I really felt like screenwriting and cinematography, it all comes together to build this magic. It's not just the director and the actors. Um, with screenwriting specifically, where or what's something aspiring writers consistently misunderstand about great screenwriting?
That the main thing I think that most people misunderstand is that when you're writing a screenplay, that you're for it to be successful and resonate with people, you can't force the movie that you have in your head onto them. And it sounds counterintuitive when you talk about it, but the truth is, people see the movie very clearly in their head, and they're basically taking that and trying to put that on the page and forcing that onto the reader. And that doesn't work because no one is ever going to be able to see it the way you see it. When a screenplay really works is when you're able to lay things out in such a way that you can help the reader form the movie in their mind the way they see it. And it'd be very similar to yours. It'll never be exactly like yours. But if you're like giving them sort of the ingredients and helping them through the flow of the page and the structure of the scenes and the dialogue, you're giving them all these pieces in a way that it's easy. They don't have to work for it. They can easily take that information, put it into their supercomputer, and put it on the projector in their mind. And it makes sense to them. That's when you have an easy read. That's when you have a read that where they get through it and they're like, wow, I saw that movie. That made sense to me. But the mistake people make is they just sort of dictate what they're seeing onto the page, and they're missing elements. It doesn't work that way.
So yeah, I actually have like another question around that because I think one reason Obsession is resonating so well with people is because it's going across, say, your casual viewer who is just going in to watch a movie, feel it, experience it. But then you have the other viewer that like loves subscript. They love going in deep. They love diving deep to themes and what does this symbol mean, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
When you're going through a script and writing it out, do you see yourself like annotating like this means this and this symbolizes that? Or is that just
Hmm.
something like we hope they assume those things or they
Yeah.
assume something on their own?
Well, both. I do a theme pass as one of my final passes where I want to be very clear. What is this about? What, and in that there's a through line in the story that it hits on that continuously and that is not, it's there for people who want to experience it. You don't want to beat people over the head with theme, right? But you want to have it there for people who want to experience it. And then the other thing is to not over explain things, not try to spoon feed people. And so that Obsession does this really well where it leaves a lot of gaps to be up for interpretation. And you have to make sure those gaps are grounded, that there could be an explanation. You don't want to disguise uh, mystery for confusion. Like, so, but if there's if there's a things that you can leave out and it doesn't hurt the story, and in fact, in many ways, it helps the story, then that improves the overall project because now people can fill in those blanks. They can be invested in the story. They can discover those things on their own and like take ownership of it.
Most definitely. And a funny story you say that, or funny you say that, because I saw Luke, the prop master's, one of her videos, and she mentions about the clock and how everyone's coming up these crazy theories about the clock, and everyone's just like, or she's like, it broke. That's what it was. But we loved hearing all these theories. So yeah, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned.
Go in and doctor it and all that. And it could have been done, but I think at that point it was like, let's just move on.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
hilarious.
no,
That's
that's
like one of the
true.
first things I noticed in the first watch, and I was like, "That means something. I know it has to
Yeah.
mean something." So it's so funny.
There's a theory about what something happened in 1655 or something that, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, hey, so go for it. Let's do
love
it.
it.
Like maybe it did. Maybe we did that on purpose.
Love it. So when you're starting a script, you mentioned you have your theme pass at the end, but when you're actually building it out first, are you thinking character? Are you thinking premise? Where do you start?
Always character first because it's just what I write is character driven horror,
Mhm.
which is, usually it's grounded horror that evolves out of trauma, pain, guilt, some sort of experience through the character, a la Hereditary, Obsession. And it's what I like, from my years of working in psychology. So yeah, I want to know who these characters are, whose POV are we experiencing this through, and what's the point? Why are we doing this? Why do we care? If I can answer those questions and I have an idea of how it's going to end, then I can start constructing the story. And for me, it's I do the painstaking work up front so that I can discover the story more easily down the road. So for me, that's doing outlines that maybe 25, 30 pages long, because I can just move things around a lot easier there. I can cut things. I don't have an emotional connection to it because it's in an outline, it's bullet points. It could have been the greatest idea I ever had when I typed it out. And then now I'm looking at the story as a whole and I'm going, no, and I can just delete it. Whereas if I'd have wrote that in the screenplay, it's harder for me to cut it. I can do it and I should do it, but there's this emotional connection to it there because it exists. So in the outline form, I have a lot more freedom to cut things, move things around, add things until I have it pretty much. I have the movie beat by beat and very detailed. And then I open up my software and go to work. And it's a matter of going in and then really discovering the scene and being authentic to what is this character thinking? How would they respond to this? How would they respond to this? So it rings true. And I'll discover things there that I wouldn't have discovered on the outline, but that's my starting place.
Love that. No, I love that. And now let's go ahead and jump into like just modern horror altogether. We're seeing a lot of movies coming out talking trauma, anxiety, social fears. Like that has been, I feel like, a big focus of modern horror. How conscious are you when you're writing horror? Like, okay, maybe not fill in every single piece of not. It doesn't have to have trauma, anxiety, and social media. It's like making sure you're staying in a linear path, if you will.
Well, it's important to me. I want my movies, my stories, and hopefully movies. I want them to mean something. I want them to, what's happening right now with Obsession is like a generational thing. It's really hitting the zeitgeist where people are, especially Gen Z, young adults are they're resonating with this because it's hitting these fears of their traumas, collective traumas with COVID and with growing up on social media and having to have all these different personas going on all the time and conversations going on all the time on their phones with different people and the heaviness of that and the fear of being embarrassed and being vulnerable, which is Bear's problem, and the fear of having your autonomy and things taken away, which is Nikki's problem. So it's hitting all that. Not every movie has to do that or should, but it should have a point though. There should be at least in our genre, it should be a reason that we're telling this story, and it should matter. So yeah, I always keep it top of mind. What is this about? What are we talking about here? But then at the end of the day, it's really about characters.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, talking obsession, let's go ahead and jump in because I mean that's the hot topic right now, and it's definitely proving to resonate. It's a great script. I went through the actual screenplay not too long ago, and it just so wild how it had moments where obviously it was comparable one to screen to or script to screen, but then there were also some moments where there were like some liberties it feels like taken on day of. Did you see that consistently on the set? And if so, was that like a shift for maybe even Curry to say, maybe this isn't working the way I thought it was going to in my mind. We have to change this up.
No, not really. It was the script that got leaked is an earlier script, so
Cool.
the newer script is pretty close to what you see on the screen. But Curry's very he's a type of director where he doesn't let ego get in the way. Like he really wants collaboration. He trusts the actors that they've embodied the characters and what they think about what rings true to the characters matters. And so, yeah, we're gonna get those lines, but then there's always like, okay, now what do of course he's constantly talking to the actors about it. But yeah, like now give it to me a different way. Give me a different interpretation. So playing around with it, see what we get. And some of that stuff definitely ends up in the movie, but I think if you had the final script and you had that and you watched the movie, you would see that okay, it's pretty much close to what was on the screen.
Hopefully, we get a published version of that. I know I'd probably that'd be an easy coffee table book for me to buy.
Oh yeah. Well, you never know. Focus does some of that stuff
Exactly.
sometimes.
So
So
yeah,
maybe,
fingers
maybe
crossed.
that'll
Fingers
happen.
crossed. But
Yeah.
going with, I heard you had a part in writing a certain scene in the movie. Can we talk about that and exactly like what got you like this is it. This is gonna resonate here for this movie.
He had me write a couple of things, but the most interesting thing was where, and this was as he was writing the original draft. Just when he got to this point, and it was Nikki, doing her Hansel and Gretel. Not Nikki, but the entity as Nikki
Mhm.
writing this story. He knew that I was the writer, and he wanted my voice on the page to be different than his voice on the page. So that's why he thought it would be interesting to have me come in and write it. Plus, it's a short story, which is what I at the time what I had been writing, and yeah, so that and what I wrote the first go around is what survived through the whole process and what ended up on the screen, and it never changed. And I don't remember exact because it's been a long time ago, and I don't remember exactly if he told me to write something about Hansel and Gretel, or if it was just from conversations we had, or if it's something I came up with. But I know that I wanted it to be. I wanted to be very clear that the entity is it's almost like a dream state where the entity is reaching into Nikki's subconscious and pulling out little fragments. It's like you have a really bizarre dream and it's really weird and eerie. And if you wake up and you really start thinking about it, you're like, oh, there's birthday cake in there because there was birthday cake in the break room yesterday. Like there's no reason for that other than that little fragment was just
Yeah.
pulled in. And so the Hansel and Gretel story is pulling in a lot of things. It's pulling in how Nikki probably feels that she's trapped and that she doesn't have a say over herself and her body. How what's going on is wrong, just as like what's going on with Hansel and Gretel is about as morally wrong as you can get. And also that she probably sees Bear like a little brother. So there's the familial element. So you start pulling all those pieces together, and it fits well as sort of a demented and warped Hansel and Gretel story.
Oh yeah, like I said, I saw it last night, like for my fifth time, and of course, for me, I'm always just like hinging. The friend I went with was like, "What are we watching?" Like she actually worded that. I'm like, "We'll talk about it after the movie."
That part, she says, she's like, when you're, because I have a 7 and 2 year old daughter, I started over, which has been a beautiful experience. She's like, when your daughters are teenagers, you cannot tell them that you wrote that. And I said, I think the cat's out of the bag. Like they're going to find out if
No,
they want
most
to know.
definitely.
Like it's cemented in history at this point. So.
I mean, in the first catch for me, the first watch of "Only the Love," what's it called? From a branch of a willow tree. Yeah, I was like, that is my caption for this for my first review. Like, because I typically put a quote on my captions, and I was like, why is that hitting me so much right now? That's so wild.
I like where after she pulls or she gets her, goes down and gets her kiss, and she says, "Everyone will die in this room," and you're like not knowing the love that I feel for Bear.
I
Like
mean,
that's really beautiful.
we've all had that friend at a
Yeah.
party
Well, we've
who
all
wants.
been that person. It's easy
Yeah.
to get lost in this obsessive love. With some time and distance, you realize, okay, I got caught up in that too much, too fast. It was harmful what I did, love bombing someone, and yeah, it happens to us too. It's so real. I think that's part of why people really connect to it.
Most definitely. And I feel like one of the biggest conversations that we're seeing right now around the movie, I mean, obviously, is this the worst friend group ever? Who's the villain? So, like, for me personally, keep this friend group away from me. May this never find me. But the idea of love versus romance and what does that mean? When you all were right, or when you were kind of consulting on it, how did you interpret the differences there between the two?
Yeah, well, Nikki has a really great monologue describing the difference between love and romance, which got cut in. If there's a director's cut, I think that would probably be in there. Like some of the other stuff that people really want in there, like the alternate ending and the extra head bashes.
Hmm.
Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't think the alternate ending would, but um, but that one I think would be because it's about theme. Like it's one of those things that like really like we were talking about before, it clarifies the theme, but it's not necessary. You don't have to have it. And the real problem there was time. Like Curry wanted to get to the inciting incident, which was the snapping of the One Wish Willow in a certain amount of time to keep the momentum, because the movie really takes off after that. Up to that point, uh, there's no pacing issues. It's not slow, but it's sort of like you're in this world, you're learning the characters, who they are to each other, what's going on. Once he snaps the willow, it's like now it's like the pace is amped up.
Hmm.
And so he was trying to get to that at a certain time. So you have to kind of, like Stephen King says, kill some of your darlings. You got to start trimming stuff even if you don't want to. So that monologue got cut. But what she's saying in there is that love is earned. Like love is a as a decision and a commitment. Like you decide that this person means enough to me that I'm deciding that I will continue to value them and take care of them emotionally, physically, whatever it takes. That's love. Romance is the butterfly feelings we get of it's how it affects us, not what we're doing to serve someone else, but how is this relationship affecting me? How does it make me feel about myself? What am I getting out of it? And Nikki does a good job explaining that, and it is one of the most important themes of the movie.
I know that I feel like that's one of the conversations that we left with after a first watch of like, okay, where is love? What is romance? And how do we interpret it? I remember we were out grabbing a drink after the movie, and that was a constant conversation. No, it means this. No, I interpret it this way. So definitely already had us talking on day one of the movie. But kind of want to zoom back out into some of the screenplay competitions that you have, because you've done and you've had some major success around them. So congratulations around that. I've seen definitely saw on your website that you have gone through it and seen some major success there. With emerging writers, though, what do you think they currently misunderstand about breaking into the industry today?
Well, breaking in's tough. It is hard to get in. Um, there's no people at the gate like just like with their swords crossed saying you can't enter. All anyone ever wants is someone who is going to deliver the goods, and there's a lot of people who can do that. And in the industry in the past, it's been more difficult for different groups of people and different sexes of people, and that is starting to change. It's got a long ways to go still, but it's starting to change, which is really awesome. But I think as far as filmmaking goes, and we can lump screenwriting into that, the best thing to do is like it's the new frontier of places like YouTube and other places that are distributing devices. They're platforms where you can put anything up there. And if there's anything, one of the things I've learned from Curry is to not be afraid to put your fear of being judged aside. And, if you want to be a filmmaker, go make a shitty movie and then go make another shitty movie. Like if you're waiting to just put out this masterpiece, it's not going to happen. You have to go through all of those bad movies or bad experiences to grow from that to actually have something. And so that's why when everybody's saying Curry's an overnight success, they're not seeing the 8 years of practice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every skit that he and Cooper put out was a little mini movie, a little short film. See, there's literally almost 1,000 short films that they've put out that they put care and thought into every single one. And some are way better than others. There's some on there that I know embarrass him from the early years, and they're not taking those down because they want people to see them. They want to be able to see them when they need to, and to show how far they've come. So yeah, I think that in some ways the barrier to entry is still as difficult as ever, but in other ways you can force yourself in. I mean, Curry has shown that. Like you can if you really want it, you can do it. You can force yourself in, and that's kind of been me as well. Being a screenwriter, not living in LA, being someone of my age, has been very difficult. But I just kept persisting and kept going, and now opportunities are coming my way. A lot of it is because of Curry and Obsession, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I embrace it. I'm thankful for it because it's tough. You just take interest whenever you can get it. But I am glad that I built this thing with the Screenplay Lab, independent of Curry, so that when people did find out I was involved in the movie and they wanted to learn about me, they had this to go see and and see like, oh, okay, this guy kind of knows what he's talking about, on his own, and then check in on me rather than just like, hey, I heard you're Curry's dad and you write, because those aren't the conversations I'm having. Most of the people that are coming to me have spent a significant amount of time looking at the videos, watching me break down scripts. They're only there because of what's going on with Obsession and Curry and whatnot. But they're also doing that, and so that feels really great.
And I think, like to your point, I didn't know about milk and cereal. I didn't know about all their what's it called, the videos until afterward. I'm pretty sure I've seen one or two at scrolling through a reel, but I went back. I went back. I saw milk and cereal. I've seen kind of the jump that milk and cereal has had too, obviously, and some of the others that he's put up on YouTube. And to your point, like having something to reference, say, hey, no, I've been here, and this isn't my start. I love that. I love that. And like I said, the screenplay lab.
Because I think there are two groups of people who are experiencing this movie. There are the people who were fans of Curry and Cooper for the last 8 years or some period of time in there, and were like, I'm going to go watch this movie no matter what. I want to see what they do. And things in there were for them, like the Barker's Pub was like a little Easter egg for the milk and, or for the That's a Bad Idea fans. Curry being on the phone and hearing that voice, and he's almost like one of his characters on That's a Bad Idea. That was sort of like a nugget for the fans, but still being grounded for the story. And then there were people like you who didn't really know all that, so you just came in as like a pure fan of movies. So it's a whole different experience.
Yeah. Most definitely. And now I'm a fan all around, so I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Kind of go. I have not seen The Chair, but my friends have been talking it up. They just saw it for the first time, and they're like, this one, trust me.
Yeah,
Okay.
the chair and warnings both have some similar elements that are in obsession, and so as someone who's interested in film, those are two interesting ones to see because you can see the beginnings of how Curry was cultivating his taste and already wanting to go there, and then he was able to do it on a big scale with obsession.
Yeah, that's awesome. And to kind of tie the two questions together of like a new or up and coming screenwriter, do you think there's a screenplay that every screenwriter should look into while they're starting off?
Well, it really depends on what type of what genre you write, what type of writing that you do. I love Greta Gerwig. I think she has a really great voice on the page. She's one of my favorites. Christopher Nolan, especially some of his early stuff, is really interesting. Um, Aaron Sorkin is, if you want to learn about dialogue and dialogue heavy scripts, he does that very well. Jesse Eisenberg, his writing is very like sort of like really interesting and important in a way where it comes across like he doesn't care, like flippant, and that's fun and interesting. You can see a real voice there. I mean, the list goes on and on, and but the key is not a script. The key is multiple scripts regularly. Like if this is really your craft and somebody wants it to be their job, they have to put the time in, not only writing but also reading scripts, and it has to be taken very seriously. I mean, I've read hundreds of scripts, and in different ways too, like reading them just sort of like reading a novel. Like you just go through it sort of nonstop and you consume it and you're done with it. You can get something in that way. But then the way I break down scripts for the Screenplay Lab, that takes a tremendous amount of time and effort. And that is what's been most beneficial to me. In fact, in the beginning, when no one was watching and I was just like putting these videos out into the void, what kept me going was that I was seeing my own writing was elevating every time I did one of these because I was learning so much about what I liked, what I didn't like, what was interesting to me, what tools they were using, and maybe I wasn't using them, but I could see how it was benefiting them. And then I'd go to work on my scripts, and I felt like it was getting better and better. So yeah, I mean, if that's another thing I would prescribe would be to find a way to dig deep into the screenplays, take notes on them, and force yourself to look at character arcs, wants versus needs, story structure, all that stuff that it's more fun to just read it and just see the movie in your head, but there's a lot more there.
Most definitely. And of course, I'm going to ask the question. I have two fun questions here. One's like sub questions. The first one I have to ask. I have to ask it. What are you wishing for with a one wish willow?
That's a good question. The problem is that the One Wish Willow, in my interpretation of the One Wish Willow, is that it's neutral. That it's not like some demon or some evil thing. The problem is that you have to be smart. You have to be smarter than the willow, and word things in such a way that you've covered all your bases, and also come at it from a place of humility and like wanting to help somebody else. Any wish that's selfish is going to end up negative in my interpretation. So if you're saying even if it's something that you would think would be a good wish, like I want to be healthy. Okay, you're still wanting something for you, and everything that comes to you comes at a cost from someone else, at least from the willow. And then I think the inverse is flipped too. If you want something for someone else, if you're being totally selfless, it's going to come at a price to you. So the trick is to try to find something that's very neutral. Um, so to answer your question, I don't know. I would probably stay away from it.
That's fair. That's fair. I had a TikTok live recently where I was that was the topic. What would you wish for? And I'll make it genie proof because I think it's genie rules personally. So I was on Chat GPT basically being like, how do we make this wish genie proof, if you will?
Uh,
So that's how I interpreted it. But
Interesting.
yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, Chat GPT is like some sort of genie. Be careful what you
Exactly,
wish
exactly.
for.
And it causes problems for me every day when I use it at work. So it's like give
Yeah.
and take, you know?
Yeah.
But my other ones, it's a this or that basically, but it's what are you obsessed with right now? I have a couple of things. Outside of obsession, what movie are
Mm.
you obsessed with right now?
Um, I really loved Yes Dear or Sorry Baby. Have you seen Sorry Baby?
Love Sorry
I
Baby.
love that movie. She's a first time filmmaker. She's also somebody who, came up on TikTok and such. And I didn't know her from that. So it's not like I was a fan or anything, but that movie like hit all my buttons. Like I loved that movie. Last year, Train Dreams was one that I really loved. Uh, from a horror standpoint, I felt like Undertones was really good. I don't think it got the appreciation that it deserves. Um, so yeah, I just love movies. I go to the theater once a week and I try to watch like 4 movies a week. Um,
Love that.
some weeks I hit it, some weeks I hit 2 or 3, but it's important. I'd say it's part of my business. Like I need to stay up to date seeing movies. But I'm just a movie lover and always have been. My mom was a huge movie lover. I mean, like, I didn't realize, like, we went to the theater every weekend almost, and we would rent 3 or 4 movies a weekend. And I thought everybody did that. I didn't know that was like unusual. And so that carried over into my household with my boys when they were coming up. And so I guess it's paid off. I mean, we come from a family of movie lovers.
That's kind of my family too. It was me, my sister, and my mom at Blockbuster every Friday. We each picked a movie, and that was our weekend. So love that.
I think there's a place for it. I really do. I
I
think that yes, people are going to mostly watch streaming. It will never be what it was in the 90s, 2000s, but they're especially in a town like Austin. Like if there was ever a place for a blockbuster, it
We
should
have
be in
one. We
Austin.
have something similar. It's called iHeartVideo, and you can rent video, and you
Oh,
can also rent a VCR from them.
see, I knew it.
Yeah, we're
Keep
here.
Austin weird,
Keep
man.
Austin weird. People are saying it's
I
not as
knew
weird.
it. I knew it.
It's not as weird as it once was, but yeah, we actually a bunch of us film talkers that are from Austin. They have like a little mini screening room in the back where that you can rent out, and
Yeah.
we did a comedy screening
And
of
is it
it.
like a membership thing? Like you have a card and you
I'm
can
not
go
sure. So it's a
check
little
out
further
something?
north, so I don't really utilize it.
Oh,
Unfortunately, I kind of just buy physical media now. But yeah, I think they have some kind of membership around it, if I'm not mistaken. But
yeah, that is so cool.
yeah,
Well, Blockbuster needs to do that too. I think it still exists. I used to live in Bend, Oregon, which was the very last active Blockbuster, and that was in 2007, and it was still operating then when I lived there in 2007.
yeah.
And
I think
but
they just renewed their lease too, if I'm not mistaken. Like they had their conversations for renewal, and if I'm not mistaken, they re-upped it, which is super exciting.
who did the
Oh,
movie
the
place you're talking about
Blockbuster.
in
Like,
Oregon?
yeah, I think so because I think it's
Oh,
the
so you know
last
about
one.
that
Yeah, I
then?
think it's the last one, and yeah, I think I remember seeing it in the news, like,
Does
oh,
it still operate?
I think so as a
Yeah.
Blockbuster. So it's
See,
pretty awesome.
Bend is also cool. Bend, Oregon's kind of like a little miniature
That's
Austin.
awesome. I mean, me and some friends are talking to go there for a concert, so I might have to go and go
Oh, cool. The
check it out.
amphitheater out there. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
that's
But
cool.
um,
Uh, but my obsession right now is obsession. It's sort of lame to say, but I just can't get enough. I'm like, I feel guilty how much time I spend online, like looking at content and stuff. But I also give myself a little grace because I'm like, this is not forever. This is a very short window. In 2 weeks, this will all be over. But for now, it's like enjoy it. All these people who are loving my son, appreciating my son, and so yeah, I'm indulging in that on top of all the projects and stuff that I'm working on, and but it is my obsession. And it has been for the last couple of weeks.
I
It's
mean, I
been
love
awesome.
it. Same here. I mean, honestly, like I've been. That's all I can talk about with my friends when we talk. When I hear someone say movie, I'm like, "We're talking movies." I got one for y'all. My
Yeah,
my personal trainer too. He was like, "So I know I haven't seen the movie, but I told 2 friends to go watch it, and now they think I know everything about it. So I need to watch
yeah,
it now." So it's a big one here. It's in Austin. It's definitely one that has taken over too. Like
yeah.
I went yesterday. Like I said, I went yesterday. everything from 4 to 10 p.m. showings. There were like 4 showings in it, sold out. Right? We
Wow.
got so lucky that 2 people dropped their tickets and we were able to pick them up last second.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's a big thing.
That's great. Well, and this is going to be a huge weekend with Backrooms and Obsession. I'm really pulling for Backrooms. I want both movies to do well. It's not a competition. It's a
No,
great time for horror and young Gen Z filmmakers. I'm going to go see Backrooms. And
I'm actually seeing Backrooms right after this. I
okay,
have it like
cool. Yeah, I'm
right
looking
at 4
forward
p.m.
to
I
it.
got it. But I live connected to a movie theater. So the Draft House South Lamar, I'm 300 steps from my door to that door.
Oh, that's a great place to be,
Yeah,
man.
so I'm like
That's
very
awesome.
yeah, it works out. But last question, because I love asking this question to different people that work in the movie industry, because I feel like people just like see the director, they see what's it called, the actor, they want to know more, and I hear a lot of my friends say, "Hey, I'm writing a script. Do you want to read it?" Or "How did you know this person gets into that kind of thing?" For screenwriters, what advice do you have for an up and coming screenwriter that wants to really just like hone in on the art?
Mhm. Well, it's reading scripts and then writing scripts. Write as much as you can. Uh, I think the best process in the beginning is to not get bogged down on one project, to not have this one script, this one idea that you think is going to be the thing that changes your life and you hit the lottery with it. Maybe it is, but you can't, you can just keep polishing that thing. It's only going to be what it can be. Because what really sells scripts is concept. I mean, the writing has to be there. You have to be able to present a document that people love and appreciate. But people are, at least executives and such, they're going to want to read a document based on the hook and the concept. If it's high concept, if you can explain it and be even shorter than a log line, and if you can explain it in 5 words or less, then you've got something where people will go, "Oh, I never thought about that before. That's a cool idea." So write that script, write your script, do another draft, polish it up, and then put it away and start your next script. And don't just keep beating that one to death forever. Some people working on the same script or pilot or something for 15 years. You really just got to move on and just keep going, keep writing, because it might be that fifth script that you figured something out and have a new perspective, and that's the one that people are interested in, and it takes off.
Most definitely. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time. This went too fast. I feel like I could talk movies with you all day, honestly.
Yeah, man, I'm
Uh,
gonna go to Fantastic Fest, and
I'll be
so we'll
there.
have
I'll
to
literally be. That the plan is to be there.
I'll definitely look you up, and
Most definitely
we'll
would
kick
love
it.
to. But everyone, definitely check out the Screenplay Lab. You won't be disappointed. I see movies very differently now after watching just a handful of videos. So I might have to say that. But Jeff, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for saying that. Thanks for having me.
A huge thank you to Jeff once again. That was such a blast. And of course, go see Obsession. It is getting an extended run in theaters, so definitely check it out when you get the chance. And next week, I have such a fun interview planned, and it is going to be with Luke Cole, the prop master for the movie Obsession. And you're not going to want to miss this one because we talk all things One Wish Willow, the cat sandwich, and just how props are integrated into this entire movie.